Good morning, everybody. Um, in case people are wondering why I'm doing a live on a Sunday morning, um, it will become clear in a minute. Over the course of this week, some things some things have come to light about a content creator that I have um, promoted on this platform. And since the things came to light about this particular individual, I've seen all kinds of videos about him. Some that are very interesting to say the least. And the reason I wanted to address it was because um, I think now, my take on it will be a little different than most. Having never spoken to this individual, and I have been on his platform before, we've had some interaction on his in his chat before, but not live chat, like just, a reply. I think maybe twice a reply. Um, we'll get into the details of what's been put out into the public sphere. And this is a prime example of why I have always espoused this particular concept of relationship. Um, but secondarily, this issue with this individual is something I can relate to in more ways than most. So we're gonna get into it. So this week, if you guys have been following the internet, a man by the name of Kris, you might know him as All Things Theology, um, was outed by his spouse for carrying on an inappropriate relationship with an individual. Um, Ironically, it is not the first time that this has occurred. Um, and The last time it happened, he had put out a statement on the matter. And I'll bring this statement up. He put it out on X at the time. Um, and this was his statement on X. This was back in February, I believe, February of this year. Hello, everyone. I've decided to take a step back from making videos. I'm not sure how long this will last, but I'm taking a season to prioritize my marriage. I've placed ministry over my marriage for a long time, so I will cut videos until further notice. I understand that some may be upset. I ask for your forgiveness in this and prayers. Please be patient with me in this. I look forward to coming back and making videos with a healthy marriage. Thank you all. Um, so he put this out, and he took, I think it looked like, from what I was seeing on his profiles, probably like a month, and then came back. And then this bombshell dropped. And I'm going to show you the letter, because the church that he is affiliated with um, put out a letter about it. And so we're going to read said letter real quick, and then we'll break down the fallout from it. Okay? We'll break down the fallout from it. In case you don't recognize him, that's him. That's Kris. Um, Goes by the KDub. Um, that's KDub. I can't say that this one hurts necessarily, but I do understand a lot about what is transpiring with everybody. I thought about whether or not I was going to address anything about it and when and all that stuff, but I decided I was going to. Um, so I'm going to, and I'll explain why. Um, so anyway, this is it. There's no sound to it, so I'm just going to be reading. Okay, so he is a member of a church. And I forget the name of it. Anyway, um, he is a Christian YouTuber with almost 90,000 subs on this platform, having branched out into all in and out of Christian hip hop, cultural church cultural commentary and sermon reviews. His thriving YouTube channel is called All Things Theology, and paired with his X account, where he became a prominent opponent of Christian nationalism in favor of liberal ideas, especially regarding race. On a Friday news bombshell, the elders of Heritage Grace Community Church announced the excommunication of Kris Williams, legal name spelled Christopher. My first statement about the whole debacle is this, and I think you will see this playing out in many of the people that I'll be mentioning as well. Both here and on Too Strong, we've mentioned something about the influence of hip hop and rap music in Christian culture. People don't want to admit this, but it opens up a door. Even if you try to paint it and say this is godly, you are putting yourself in a position of problems, and you're opening up your mind to the idea already, and whatever is attached to that music genre is going to find you. I'm not talking about spirits and the idea behind hip hop isn't godly, period, point blank, which is why I keep telling people you cannot have Christian hip hop. You can't have Christian rap. It is not possible. I don't know why we keep trying to mesh stuff of the world to God and expect some kind of odd result. You can look, he's not an exception. You want to look at how it affects people, look no further than Marcus Rogers. 3 marriages or so. Hip hop, still doing it. Don't be surprised if he goes on a 4th, because they want to mix and match. They want to mix and match. You can't look. It's not, as much as you might be good at the genre, you might like it. That doesn't mean you need to do it. Anyway, May 22nd, as believers in the Lord Jesus Christ and members of his church are called to live in a manner worthy of our calling, speaking the truth in love as members to one another. In light of this, and in sober transparency and humble accountability, we, the officers of Heritage Grace Community Church, share the following statement of church discipline regarding one of our members, Kris Williams, aka Kris KDub of All Things Theology. In the past few months, the elders of HGCC were made aware that Kris has been actively engaged in an online adulterous relationship with another woman. While there has not been any physical contact, his wife has provided undeniable evidence of his online Discord chats and phone calls that confirmed his relationship. Kris was confronted and asked by both the elders and his wife to confirm this activity, which he did. He was called to repentance and to end this online relationship immediately. He confessed his sin, committed to end the relationship, and provided evidence that he had blocked the incoming phone numbers from this woman in an act of repentance. The elders and another brother from HGCC were proactively keeping Kris accountable to his confession and repentance. However, in a short time, he was contacted again by this woman, and soon after, the online chats and phone calls resumed. Since being confronted again, Kris refuses to repent and has instead left his family and is pursuing a divorce from his wife. Kris has been placed under church discipline, according to Matthew 18, for continuing to pursue an online long-distance adulterous relationship with another woman while married and habitually living in a double life. The church has exhorted has been exhorted to pursue him with the purpose of calling Kris to repentance and reconciliation with Christ and his family. HGCC is making a public notice because of Kris's online ministry, All Things Theology, which has been associated with HGCC since he is no longer in good standing as a member of the HGCC. We can no longer approve or promote his ministry in good conscience. I want to address that portion right there. Not only is the rap music an issue, the tribalism in church is also an issue. This idea, I want to read this line again. HGCC is making a public notice because of Kris's online ministry, which has been associated with HGCC, not with Christ, not with God, with the church, that named church. Since he is in no longer good standing as a member of HGCC, what does that even mean? Okay. Either this is Christ's body or it's not. We've talked about that before here too, about this idea that you can just go and rename God's church anyhow you want, and then say there are members of it to a title that you just gave. You say this is God's body, but here you go giving names to it and telling people, look, they have a membership here. What membership are you talking about? You want to know how people become so calloused to this idea and that repentance is just for show? Because you have made this about man. This has been about man for forever now. They're not excommunicating him mostly because of God. They're excommunicating him because of the effect it has on their church. Their church. We can no longer approve or promote his ministry in good conscience. We will continue to call him to repent from his sin, turn in faith to Christ to receive forgiveness and be reconciled. We ask the church to join us in praying for Kris and his family. Sincerely, Lynn Kaler, pastor. Landon Kozer, pastor. Kozeny, pastor. Kris has been at the forefront of doing what I do sometimes, which is the exposure kind of thing. And there are quite a few instances where he spoke on stuff that was ironically now what he's struggling with. And I'll play you one of the videos when Steve Lawson, the issue of Steve Lawson came forward about him having an external, an affair and stuff. This is what Kris had to say.
Grace and peace. Welcome back to another episode of All Things Theology, where this is your host, KDub, and today I have some breaking news to inform you with, and that is Steve Lawson has been removed as an elder from Trinity Baptist Church. I want to actually go over the website that was of his church, Trinity Baptist Church here in Dallas, Texas. And I want to talk about it. I want to give some practical implications on this. Man, this is very sad news just for me because, man, I've been so impacted by Steve Lawson's ministry, his preaching, his teaching. And man, I woke up today and it was just, it's everywhere, right? And we have to talk about it. We have to deal with it.
I will address this portion of what people may think is hypocritical. And while in its base definition, yes, it's hypocritical. I think what most people miss is that you can indeed be sincere in what you believe about God and still have a mad issue with something going on that's anti-God. The struggle, the problem is that he's living his life in the public eye. Majority of people don't. They fight this stuff on their own without the public scrutiny. and they go through things without public scrutiny. They have this turmoil without public scrutiny. Kris doesn't have that option. I wouldn't have that option. So him being in the situation and saying something about someone in the same situation is not unheard of. Like at all, not unheard of. And by the way, this video is not a justification for Kris's actions. I'm just trying to give people a different take on this. So him speaking on Mr. Lawson's situation, even if at this time he might have been involved in what he was doing, there is, and I'll tell you this much, with and I have a suspicion that he might also possibly have an addiction issue too with pornography. Because here's part of what pornography will do to you too. Pornography, even if you have somebody, it is not enough. Like there are stages of it where you find yourself wanting to keep the stability of your marriage and the idea of your marriage. But there's something that you're not getting out of your marriage that you're not supposed to get out of my body. We're not supposed to get it. But you're looking for something else to fulfill that part of you that you're not wanting to let go of yet. And somebody pops him, and I know this firsthand. This is not me talking because I'm just I know this firsthand because it's exactly how the issues with me popped up. I know that for a fact. So you end up looking for something, trying to get something from somewhere else because you know you're not going to get it in the marriage. In fact, you're not actually looking for it in the marriage. The only thing you're looking for in that marriage is confirmation that you're married, you're happy with that life, you are, but there's another part of you that wants this. So you go find that, and you get that. And the best way to make sure you keep that with feeding you the way you want is to keep it secret. See, the instant it comes out into public, it becomes something that no longer feeds the part of you that you want to keep. It's no longer euphoric. It's actually easier to let go of it because it's no longer the secret that you got. No doubt, Sheila, that it is. We're not talking about it's not low down. We're not saying it's not. But I'm trying to give preferences and a barrier to ideas of what exactly might have happened by telling you what has been going on with most people, more so me, what had happened with me and how I functioned and what my mindset was at the time. I knew full well that marriage itself was something I wanted, but it wasn't what I wanted more than my addiction. I wanted it myself more than it. I liked me more. And the more I liked me, the more I looked to get what I wanted to get out of things. So I kept the marriage. But I wasn't really married. The appearance of it was there for people. They could see it and they knew I was married. But in my mind, that was a whole different me. That was the me I wanted people to see. The me I really wanted to have and what I wanted to do, I kept quiet. The problem with that, it starts to affect your everyday life and you become more disjointed. You become harder to talk to. You become really good at telling everybody, no. That's not. Heck, you can even do what he's doing there and be fine with it. No problems at all. No issues. So he can talk about it, and he did. He can talk about it, and he went on to talk about lots of people like that. Hang on. Speaking of the wife. So him talking about Mr. Lawson while in his thing is quite easy, actually, to do. I know people don't want to hear that, but it is easy to do. And going back to the whole idea of the relation thing, if your idea of godly living is actionable, then it's going to eventually attach itself to people don't know, so it's still actionable. So he can disconnect himself from various parts of his life really easily. Again, this is not me justifying Kris's behavior. I'm giving people an insight into something that the church today isn't willing to talk about. I am putting insight into what the church doesn't want to address. The church today is enamored with appearance. And because they're enamored with appearance, they will never address character. Never. Repentance for the church today is saying, I'm sorry. Their idea of repentance is coming in front of the congregation and saying, okay, I'm sorry for doing this, and then I will do better in the future, and I will have accountability. And then you put, and look, this is, again, from me, and y'all know my story. I put accountability into place. Accountability. What does the accountability look like? And I bet you it's the same thing that happened with Kris. I can call you and find out what you're doing. I'm going to need to monitor certain things that you have. Now, mind you, you can't monitor my mind. You can monitor everything you want. You can monitor my going, my coming, my phone, my computer. You can monitor all of that. That's accountability in the church today. You can put a GPS tracker on my foot. You can do all of that. That's not going to change here or here. Because you're not addressing this or this. You're addressing what you see. And we've adopted this mindset that Christianity has become an activity, not a life, an activity. Don't embarrass the church. Don't embarrass your family. Don't do. And eventually people will find a way to still do, just that you won't know because it'll be in their head. You're not addressing what might have actually kickstarted him to not be thinking about his family anymore. Look, this, and I'll tell you this much, this online platform thing can be a big escape. It can be a massive escape from who you really are and what you're trying to do. It can be. You can become so busy with it, and you can become so enamored with it, the attention, the accolades, the request of people to say something about. It can become something that you'd separate your actual growth from, and on camera, you look like you're doing one thing, but in your personal life, you're not. Now, I have been there too. And it's so easy to do. So stinking easy. But when you actually get to the point where you're lying to yourself and you start to feel the effects of it yourself, things change. When that starts to actually penetrate your mind and heart, and it's not about people calling you out, when it becomes reality to you, that is when you start realizing, oh, crap. The double life is no longer worth it. Look, it's so not worth it. Look, I used to use so much energy in hiding. I don't know how Swiper did it when he was trying to run from Dora. I don't know how Swiper had this kind of energy to always be sneaking around Dora trying to hide. I don't get it. When he always got caught, I don't get it. But it became so much of a chore. It was such a taxing thing to do. But it was worth it to me because I was involved in something that was more for me than anybody else. And there was nothing you could tell me. Look, I even got proficient at being accountable. Until I realized I was actually doing myself a disservice by lying to people about what I was and who I was and where I was thinking mentally, and I would tell them stuff and they would check, nothing was wrong. But my brain was still going 40 different directions. It was still moving all kinds of different directions. But they couldn't monitor that. I want him to continue though.
But let's talk about this, right?
Ironically, they also put out a letter about Lawson the same way that his church put out a letter about him.
Talk about the good, bad, and ugly, so to speak. It says here, the elders at Trinity Bible Church of Dallas.
I don't want to go through the letter. I want him to talk out loud about
the
this.
elders have met with Steve and will continue to come alongside him and pray for him with the ultimate goal of his personal repentance.
Now, I will say this much too. Him reading this is giving him I'm gonna put this platform on this next statement. I will place my platform on this next statement I'm about to make. I will bet you this platform that in that one statement, he just got a reprieve in his mind about his own situation. I will bank this platform that in reading this about Steve Lawson, in his mind, he has just said to himself, well, that is a relief because that's probably what my church will do for me. My church will look at me and they'll be like, oh, we'll walk alongside him. Nothing big will come of it necessarily. The public might be like this, blah, 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 but it won't be that bad. That is what this is about. I'm almost 100% sure that what just took place in his mind while reading that is that I can fall under the same category. Let me see something here. Let me see if I'm right. Okay. So 8 months ago was when he did this video. 3 months ago was when they first approached him about stopping. What was the first thing they did? They asked him to stop. And they were alongside him in prayer. So it was a precursor for him. It was a mindset of, okay, I might be in it, but at the most, I will get a reprimand and I can stop for a bit until things die down, and then I can just pick it back up.
Steve will no longer be compensated by Trinity Bible. Is this just getting too close with the woman? Again, I don't want to speculate on what this means, but nevertheless, what we do know just from Trinity Bible Church is that there is some sin committed by Steve Lawson that has disqualified him from the eldership. And I was just talking to my wife about this. It is one sin can ruin your ministry.
Yes, it can, KDub.
One act, one temptation that is acted upon can literally ruin your ministry. This is so sad. Again, I'll talk about later just the impact Steve Lawson has had on me in this ministry here. And
he's right. It only takes one. A little leaven. Now, was he sincere? Was he sincere in his exposure of Steve Lawson? I have no doubt he was. No doubt he was. Because like I said, this particular mindset of this sin and this particular type of sin, and I don't think it's just an adulterous spirit. This is something that has to do with the affinity that somebody would have for the allure of the idea of sex. So it is a pornography and sexual addiction thing, but it may not always put itself out there in the actionable intercourse of people. It's just the allure of some foreign woman in your world. So I have no doubt he was sincere in it because he's separated the two. They're not the same person. The KDub on screen is not the KDub in real life. In fact, he may have three different distinct ideas of who he is. He has all things theology. He has Kris Williams that's married, and he has this other person that he's presenting to the other woman. That's actually normal for sexual addiction. It's very normal for sexual addiction. In fact, it is probably the hallmark of sexual addiction, especially those that say they go to church. A sexual addict that goes to church has to keep the appearance of everything is okay. And I know this because that's exactly what I did for 30 plus years. I didn't want the church thinking something of me. So I kept my addictions to myself. I didn't tell nobody I was struggling with nothing. Everybody thought I was just this really good guy. I'd go and sing and lead songs up in front and do all this. I would do all this stuff. Then I'd go home in the week and then indulge the whole week in all kinds of stuff online. And then I'd come back on Sunday and everybody knew me as Brother Marlon. I can't go so far as to say that. I can say that he probably never gave the Holy Spirit the power it was supposed to have over him. But I also can possibly say that he is in the process of it being something, a reality to him. There are many weak brothers and sisters. Doesn't mean they're not saved. There are tons of weak brothers and sisters who give in to the flesh way too often. And it is still a battle for them to actually come to grasp about what Christ actually has done. That doesn't mean they're not saved. They're not the same as somebody who goes out and deliberately plans and plots and is, a complete affront to it and never handed themselves over to God. That's not the same. I can't say either way for him. But what I can say is this. If in his walk, this has become something normal, he might not have been. Might not. But will this be a good catalyst for him too? Perhaps. You see, but I got to his point too. I got to his point where I said, screw it, I'm just going to do me. Whether people knew or not, I don't care. I had to get to that point. In my mind, I thought I was saved. I honestly do not believe at the time I was doing the stuff I was doing that I was saved. Looking back now, I was not saved. If I had died then, I do honestly believe that my lot would have been hell. Because I did not give myself up. I did not die to self. I didn't. I was actively doing things, purposefully doing things, repeatedly doing things, knowingly doing things with no sort of remorse whatsoever. So I honestly believe back then I was not saved. Can I say the same thing about Kris? I don't know. But I think so many people are looking at this as a indictment on a hypocrite. And it is. It is not 100%. Yes, that was hypocritical. 100%. I can't say no. I'm not saying no at all. Like, it's pretty stinking obvious it was hypocritical. But there's also a different side to it, just like with everybody else. They allow certain things to creep in. It's going to eventually take over. It has, look, as much as you might want to think that you're strong enough to do both, you're not strong enough to do both. He told you, you can only serve one. Just one. You can't do two, one. The Christian life isn't schizophrenic. It's not bipolar. The Christian life ain't that. Now, the worldly life, you can be all kinds of schizo, and you can have multiple different versions of yourself, but that's not the case with. Because in actuality, you're only serving one, even in that way. You. But of course, when this particular situation happens, You're going to have the opportunists. You're going to have the ones who will pretend not to gloat, but gloat. And this is the problem with having this mindset and life while doing something like he had been doing, the exposure issue. Now, I have to thank Corey in all kinds of ways that people may not realize. But earlier on in this venture called Straight Talk, um, I had still been dealing with a bunch of issues from my prior addictions. And that was part of the reason why I didn't think I could even do a platform like this, because I was not fully regenerated. I was not in that mindset of saying I gave it all up. And I still had things that were in me, and I was still doing things that were just absolutely antithetical to the platform that he thought I should start. And his response was this, and I really appreciated it. Then admit it. He said, admit it. I was like, what are you talking? It's like, just admit it, dude. Like, just say that's what you did. Just admit it. The first thing that washed over me was absolute fear, like dread, like you wouldn't believe. Look, when I told you I was in, just thinking about it now, I was absolutely scared to death. But he was right. He was 100% right. For one, I wasn't being truthful with myself. That's why I was in that space. I wasn't being honest with myself. That stepping stone, aside from other things that was a precursor to that, I think I told you the story before, but I'll say it again. And I hope it doesn't get to this point for KDub. I really don't. But if it does, it does. Because sometimes you have to be confronted with something so terrifying. Sometimes you have to be confronted with something so heartbreaking about your state. Sometimes God has to bring something to your world that's akin to what he had to go through with giving his son up. And he did that with me. I don't know if that will happen with Kris. I don't know. I don't know if he's in a place where it has to be something very, very traumatic to happen. But for me, that moment came when my sin started to affect my wife. And I don't mean STDs or anything like that. That's not what happened or anything like that. My situation was pretty much exactly like KDub's. But it started to affect the mindset, the mentality, the spiritual walk, and the mental safety of my wife, to the point where I would have been responsible for someone vacating this earth. When it got to that point, like, that moment is branded in my brain now. That moment in time is in freeze frame. I can relive that now daily. I relive it. Anytime there is even an inclination to go back to that world, I am reminded that this is what the outcome could be. It has now moved from it being I might be exposed to I might hurt the person I say I love. And not just hurt them emotionally, I mean drive them to a place that will cause them to self-harm. That reality is what finally snapped me out of things. That instantaneous moment of, I had lived my whole life thinking the only person I'm affecting is me. It was more than me. Now, what had happened? What would have happened if the act had been successful? What would I tell my kids? What possible excuse could I give my kids? If that act, because of me and my stupidity, had caused their mother to no longer be here, what would I have told them? See, what God did in that moment was take it out of my selfish viewpoint and put it outside of me for me to see the danger of what I was doing. It was no longer about me, it was about them. But the odd thing that is in that knowledge, it also became about me and the need for me to change. And it wasn't that I'm going to just do stuff. No, that reality made me realize I was impossible. It was impossible for me to do it. And the only way to do it was to fully relinquish control. I had to. I had no choice. It is why I push this so hard here. It is why I try my best to tell people that this change, this dying to self has to happen. It is more than just going on a Sunday and talking on the side of the street. It is more than that. Talking about gifts and gifts, this and what. It is more than that. That is the after. I hope that this is where it takes Kris, but I don't know how it's going to go. Because there also has to be a point where you get to that place. And there might be years of rebellion before that happens. Might be hours, might be years. We don't know. But don't forget that they did the whole accountability thing before, and he knew how to bypass the accountability. He did it for years. He could do it for more. People think, well, why would you leave your wife? That is the least. When it becomes a place where it has become you, that addiction has become you, you think, okay, my first marriage, and this is why I tell people I am disqualified from being a pastor. And I've told you all that before. I know why I'm disqualified. I've read the word and I know I am not qualified to be a pastor, overseer. I know for a fact I'm not. I am not above reproach. I was not the husband of one wife. I am not in that position, and I never will be, because though that is my past, whether God forgave me or not, that is the past that the world sees. And so I am not qualified. I've said that, and I will continue to say that. But during my first marriage, and in that marriage, I did indeed solidify the act of fully doing the act of adultery multiple times. But I did not give myself to Christ. I was not a believer. I do not, for the life of me, I know I was not a believer. I'll answer your question in a minute. I'll leave it up, but I'll come back to it before I lose my train of thought. And at the end of it, when my ex-wife filed for divorce, I was in such a dark, angry, self-serving place that I decided that I was not even going to remotely try and parent my daughter. I wasn't going to do it. I was going to sign off my parental rights so I can do what I wanted to do. I'd have my weekends free. I'd have no ability or any recourse to have to deal with a kid. I wouldn't have child support because it wouldn't be my kid. I'd just sign off parental rights. Everything I'd sign off. They would never know me. I got to that point. I've told you guys that before. I signed off in my head the addiction to the idea of sex and all that stuff can kill you. I was going to sign off. I told my ex-wife I don't want anything to do with this child. It wasn't a saving grace or any kind. I was done. Done. And then one day, I was on Facebook, and my father-in-law at the time, awesome man of God, like awesome man of God. If there was ever a person I know for a fact is making it, it's Larry. Larry's making it. There ain't nobody else on earth that I can know of right now outside of my mama that he already got the memo that he in. Okay. And his statement was, I'm here to be her dad until her dad gets his things together, his life together, or something along those lines. And at that moment, it was, whether it was anger that I wasn't going to be her father anymore, or anger that somebody else was going to be, either way, I snapped. And I changed my mind. But I think at that point is where everything for me changed. Initially, to get me onto this path of finding God. He had to make me understand some things about me and my selfishness. And that was the first lesson I learned, was through my daughter. Will Kris, because he has a kid. He has a son. I think it's a son. Will he get to that point? I don't know. But I do know if he gets to that point of an actual breaking outside of the church that he's affiliated with, this has to happen here. He has to have that one-on-one thing with God. And accountability has to be with him and God, not with man. Not with a bunch of brothers that are coming and telling him, let me check this and let me ask you where you at. That's fine and dandy if the person can be frank with you and honest with you. But if they can't, it's just a waste of time. I question a lot if I've truly died to self, and if I have to question it, I must not have, or either the devil is working overtime to cause. That's more likely the second part of your statement is probably more likely true. Look, I'm not weeping for Kris, mind you. I'm remembering in my mind where I was and how calloused I was. So hearing that he just left and didn't care is not far-fetched for me. It's not like I can believe he did it. I can 100% believe that he did that and has no problem with it. The same way I can believe that Steve Lawson is just going to act like if nothing happened. The same way I can see that, what's his name, Morris is trying to sue the church now because they expose him. I can see why they do it. It's not far-fetched for me. It's not going to stop me from throwing stones and say you shouldn't be doing it. I can still do that because I had been on the other side. So as far as his walk, I hope that something happens to catalyze his change. Don't know if it will. But I can tell you that if it does, the resurgence of whatever ministry he has online, whether he is deciding to come back and does more of a "this is what I was" kind of platform. I don't know if he was considered himself a preacher. He can no longer be that. I don't think. That's just me. I have a different viewpoint about that than most. I have no doubt you can mentor people and you can tell them how your walk is. And in that way, I guess you're teaching. But a shepherd, God forgave you, yeah. But you're talking about trying to minister to new people. And eventually someone's going to bring that up. So someone's going to bring it up, which is why many can't be teachers. There's such a stringent criteria on it that most people are not going to be able to make it. Of course it can be. Will it be? No idea. I've watched a bunch of the responses online already, and they're in such disbelief, shock. Why are you in shock? Well, first of all, why are you in shock? I thought y'all were the people that call y'all selves sinners. I thought this is me. I thought that all these Christian YouTubers all use this trope of "I'm a sinner, saved by grace. I'm a sinner." If you're not such a sinner all the time, and that's what you want to brand yourself, why are you surprised? Why are you shocked? Ain't you a sinner? Ain't that what you call yourself, a sinner? And when I say I'm not a sinner, all of a sudden that's a problem. But now one of your brothers is doing what you say he is, which is a sinner. That's a problem now? I just find that kind of hypocritical on your end too. You say you're a sinner. You just happen to be a saved one. And remember I talked this last week about giving the excuse without giving the excuse? If I keep saying I'm something, what do you think that's going to give an option for? The failure. You keep giving excuses for something, and eventually a reason to do it will pop up. I'm a sinner, I fall all the time. So when one falls, all of a sudden you're surprised. You've been saying they fall. You say that all the time. I fall down, I get up. I fall down, I get up. All of a sudden now, the one fall down. The problem with what happened with KDub, outside of the church issue, is now you've given the real heretics a reason to say something. This is why I say you're no longer above reproach. You're no longer seen by the world, which you're supposed to be, talking to, as someone they should listen to. And you've just given an opportunity for the idiots out there to have something to say. You just gave them fodder. The bad thing is, one of the biggest people that really didn't like KDub, and KDub really didn't get along with him because he called him out a lot, now has something to say. We've talked about this individual before too. Now he has all kinds of stuff to say. All kinds of stuff he has to say now. I'll show you something here real quick. I want to find it. Okay, I'm going to take a screenshot of it. And this is what I mean by giving people fodder, especially the heretics, the clowns, the liars, The ones that shouldn't be in ministry at all, you give them fodder when this kind of stuff happens. Now, I want you to read the title. Okay? I'm going to bring up the title for you so you can see it. Because I think it's essential for us to understand what this really is, what it's really about for most people. This is the title of his live he did. It says, KDub, true. The man responsible for one of the biggest lies about me gets exposed by God for adultery. He don't consider anybody exposing him a God-ordained thing. But as soon as somebody else gets ordained or exposed, it's by God. He made the entire life about how he feels vindicated now, but he's saying, I'm not trying to gloat over nobody's fall, but spends the whole life talking about how vindicated he is because now, see, when you talk about me, something else going to happen to you, kind of nonsense. This is what you give them when something like this happens if you're not transparent with stuff. Be okay with the struggle you got, bro. Be okay with it. I just find it weird that Marcus has something to say being on his third wife, but still has a church. I want to know how you pull that off, bro. Like KDub ain't a pastor. You say you are. And then I'll let you hear him. I'll let you hear him. Because I don't want to, put words in no idiot's mouth. I think idiots can do that themselves. I don't need to make an idiot say something that he, I say he say something when he can say it himself.
What's going on, everybody? I just got back from Texas, and obviously everybody was blowing up my phone, sending me this post about KDub and the website link and all of that. And I'm going to say this right from the jump. It didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me happy to see it.
It didn't make you happy? So why the title of your life like that? Man, quit lying, bro. Just quit lying. You probably smirked when you first heard. Otherwise, you wouldn't have titled the video the way you titled it. Just stop, man.
Because we know that the enemy loves to destroy families. And believe it or not, I know the internet will have you believe in one thing, but I am not a mean person.
No, you're an idiot. It's a different thing. We never called you mean. We called you slow. We called you a heretic. Those are the words we used. Not mean.
And it's going to be really hard for some of you to believe this. I'm not a judgmental person.
What? I'm betting you I can find 15 million videos of you being judgmental, Marcus. I'm betting you money on your own platform, too. I'm going to bet you money.
I believe that wrong is wrong.
If you did believe wrong is wrong, you'd be out of ministry right now. If you, Marcus Rogers, believed that wrong was wrong, you'd step down. You would. You would. You want me to show you how? You want me to show you how you should step down? Let me grab something for you real quick. Don't run nowhere. Please don't run anywhere. I'm going to do something that you do all the time. I'm going to pick out one verse. Just one verse. Let's do it, Marcus. Let's do it, Marky Mark. I just want to remember your statement. I'll replay your statement so people know what you just said. Replay it again.
He loves to destroy families. And believe it or not, I know the internet will have you believe in one thing, but I am not a mean person. And it's going to be really hard for some of you to believe this. I'm not a judgmental person. I believe that wrong is wrong.
Uh-huh.
I believe that if you're a leader and you do wrong, to whom much is given, much is required.
Good. I'm glad you said that. Glad you said that. 1 Timothy chapter 3. You know, as much as I like to do like you, I can't do it. The whole chapter. This is a faithful saying. If a man desires a position of bishop or leader, he desires a good work. Now, for those of you out there, please let me know if Marcus Rogers fits any of this bill. And if he doesn't fit even one, you let me know if he should step down from Firehouse and every single post he has in leadership today. You let me know, okay? Because this is Bible, right? Book? Perfect. All right, let's go. A bishop then must be blameless. Is Marcus Rogers blameless? The husband of one wife. How many wives has he had? How many wives? Okay. Temperate. Is he that? Hold on. Sober-minded. Is he that? Of good behavior. Hospitable. Able to teach. Is Marcus able to teach? He don't even know the word. Not given to wine, not violent, not greedy for money. Huh. Gentle, not quarrelsome, not covetous. One who rules his own house, having his children in submission with all reverence, if he can keep track of which one came from which mom. For if a man does not know how to rule his own house, how will he take care of the church of God? Not a novice, lest being puffed up with pride, he fall into the same condemnation as the devil. Moreover, he must have a good testimony among those who are outside, lest he fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. So, Marcus, shut all the way to the top of Shut Up Mountain and stay there. You shouldn't be a pastor. You don't qualify. You don't have the credentials for it. You definitely don't meet the criteria. So if you want to talk about KDub, step down first. All the way down. Drop Firehouse Ministry. Get rid of all that nonsense and stop. Just stop. Stop being a minister. You're not one. You can't ever be one. Same way, I will never be one. You know what the difference is between me and you, Marcus? Is I realized that what I was, even though I'm saved, but I'm not beyond reproach to the world. Wasn't a husband of one wife either. There are certain things I cannot do for the kingdom, and I'm okay with that. I'm still a part of the kingdom. God has called me to other things. And one of those things is to be an example of what I should never have been to begin with, so that people can understand the, common folk within the church that ain't leading. That's the example I can give. KDub is in a very, very precarious situation right now. And yes, I do agree that his platform needs to take a break. Should he delete the channel? No. No. He's not a pastor. In fact, here's what I believe will happen. If he turns back, he will have more of a testimony than he ever had before. No, he's not my friend. I don't know him. I don't know him. I've never met the guy, never had no interaction except for 2 exchanges on his platform in the chat section. I never met the guy. He's not a homie of mine. I'm not applauding what he did. He should be under the judgment of God. And he is, regardless of whether the church acknowledges it or not. He is under the judgment of God right now. But he has to give up. He has to. no amount of accountability, no amount of people coming to him on the side, no amount of people. He has to give it up. He has to. He has to. It's on him. This is his walk now. This is where rubber meets the road for him. This is where all the stuff he talked about will come back flooding to his mind, and he has one option to make: turn or not. That's it. He only has one option right here. I don't know whether he will or not. I don't know if this will make any change in his. I don't know. But the people that will suffer the most will be his wife and child. I don't even know that. And I'm not going to say right off the top that he's the only one to blame in the situation, because I don't know what happened in the home. I do know this, that a wife can make or break a man's walk as well. A wife can make or break a man's walk. For crying out loud, Eve was responsible for Adam being a fallen human being as well. Last I checked. So there's always another side to it. I'm not blaming the wife because I don't know. I know about K. I know KDub for a fact. I know right now that Kris is definitely in the wrong. I know that because that's out there. I don't know what precursors could have existed. What she didn't do to help facilitate a change, I don't know. I will tell you this, for me. We thought that having a kid would change my mind, my first wife. We thought that if we had a child, there might be something about me that would take over. And I thought it too. The same way, though, I thought that getting married would solve my addiction to pornography. It didn't. It didn't solve it. By the way, it didn't solve it. But we thought when just we had a kid, we both wanted children. So we said, if we had the kid, that might spark a change in my life, and I would pop. The problem with that is that it wouldn't have been, even if I did change, it wouldn't have been an honest change. It would have been a temporary change. Because in order for that side of me to actually go away, it had to be a God-centric change, not a child or family-centric change. I had the cart before the horse. KDub's situation is no different than Morris's, except that Morris had a child that he was dealing with. And that's not, from what I've understood, that's not KDub's situation. He might be closer to Lawson's, but he's not a pastor, so it's a different thing there. He just happened to be a public figure that spoke on Christian issues. And he was just, now he's caught up in the same things that he was exposing. And it looks very hypocritical because it is. Let's just be honest. It looks hypocritical because it is hypocritical. There's no way around that one. The difference in my viewpoint of this than most others is this. I see this as a good thing, and people are going to get mad at that statement. I see it as a good thing. Why? The good part of it is this. Whatever concept he had about himself, he can no longer have. Whatever he thought good about himself has been completely removed now. Because the good part of him was a public persona, right? The public now doesn't see him the way he would love people to see him. That is a good thing for him. Like one of the best things to ever come about with that was that situation right there. The fake you is now no longer accepted. So now people are going to be really scrutinizing things. So the idea that he could possibly pull the wool again is no longer open to him. And look, for me, when God does something, he does it like It's a full circle. Bam, he does it all. Bam, one time. It's not, I'll, I might just adjust one thing and then I won't adjust. It's all wham, one fell swoop. So if he is going to come around, when he does come around, I guarantee you, I can probably more than likely guarantee, because I know who's behind it. I can promise you this. If he comes around, if he decides to turn, and not because of people asking him to, not because the church will bring him back, not even because he's going to get his wife and family back. Kris has to turn, not because he will get his wife and family back, not because he'll get the platform back, not because he might be able to become more prominent in the YouTube. He cannot come back for those things. If he comes back, it will be because he found a true 100% authentic relationship, open relationship with God. He ain't gonna come back for the family. Those will be a bonus, a perk, because hear me out, there's no saying that the wife will even take him back. As much as she might, say it now. The thing about it, Kris knows, okay? We've heard him talk it, so at least logically, he knows what he has to do. But there are tons of things that have to happen, and this is one of them, the exposure thing. I told you guys about, I've been through all of this before. This exposure thing is a good thing because it will bring about an authentic catalyst to his change. Whether he takes up the catalyst or not is unknown. In your opinion, do you think KDub Church put too much information? No, I don't think they put too much information out. No. I don't think they put too much at all. Nope. And here's why I don't think so. The only person that went in this situation that we know of that was wrong was the wife, and she decided to do it. So, no, it's not too much. And you see, and okay, I'm not coming at you, Chess. I'm not coming at you. That's a problem. We can hope that no one will ever do it. And we may not have ever seen signs. But as usual, the fruit is what we have to look for, right? Okay. So if in all our explanations of people and our thinking of people, they have not shown us anything, then you keep it that way. But if they do show you something, then you know. It's okay to know. It's completely okay to know. And like I said, I don't know this is a statement that he's not saved at all. I'm not saying that. All I know is this. There had to have been something that he held on to that God is making sure he cannot hold on to anymore. And if he decides to still hold on to it, that's on him. It's not a reflection of God. It's not a reflection on salvation for people. It's only a reflection on Kris, nobody else. Same way if I came out and did something, it'd be a reflection on me, not on God. It's not that God failed me. Tomorrow I decide I'm done with everything and I'm just going to do what I want to do. It's not on God. That's on me. That's a me situation, not God's situation. God didn't do me nothing. Kris is enjoying something right now that I think he has and needs to go through to either be forged or thrown away. This is either a forging or a throwing away. The problem is, Chess, that is exactly where we want to keep it. Listen again. Okay, let me see if I can better frame it up. And the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that it is indeed a sexual addiction issue he may have. I have a suspicion that he might have a sexual addiction issue because all the signs so far are there. Sometimes the endorphin rush that you get from just the interaction is enough to keep you going. And the knowledge that you have a front to keep up, you need to stay. There's a little traversing road you have to. But if presented with the option to get out, you're going to get out. You're going to get out. You're going to get out. It's so phone, email, conversation, talk, pictures even. That's enough. Look, adultery doesn't have to be just acting up and going on to a hotel room and getting somebody and having your 5 minutes and 10 minutes, an hour or whatever, with them and come back and do it every month or so. That's not that alone is not adultery. It's everything else in between too. And sometimes you don't need to have the interaction. Sometimes you just need to have this idea of someone else craving you. And I know that because I've been on that side already. You don't have to metastasize to an interaction in a hotel room or in someone else's house. Just the alert that someone else wants me outside of that person that I'm supposed to be with. And then all of a sudden now it's like, I'm going to keep this going because it feels good. Let's be honest with stuff, right? It feels good. Because you're giving in to the flesh. The flesh wants it. So of course it's going to feel good. But again, remember, we're looking at somebody in the public light. So in the public light, when this comes out, the first question is, how didn't we see it? It weren't supposed to see it. You were not supposed to see it. That's the whole point. Now, I should be able to tell you, but I'm not. You're not supposed to just know. I'll tell you that nobody on and when the church I used to attend, the building, the people, nobody knew about my sexual addiction. They didn't know that. They never knew. Nobody knew it. Okay, I didn't say nobody knew in college, because in college I actually got called into the head's office, the dean's office, because of the phone calls I would be making. I racked up, how much money was that? $2,500 in bills. Phone bills. Back in, when you're making landline calls to 900 numbers, and sometimes it'd be longer phone calls, sometimes to Guam and stuff, you'd make these phone calls. I racked up almost $2,500 worth of bills. And I got called into the dean's office. Mind you, this was a Christian college. I was addicted to every kind of pornography online, and that was when dial-up was there. And I was caught, and I still went, after that, I still went back. I paid it off, and I still went back to it. I just found a different way to make the phone calls. You know how I figured out? If I'll just do a phone, about that time, 10, 220 kind of things were out, and you could go buy phone cards, and you could use that the 800 number. So the 800 number wouldn't show up as a bill. So what you would do is you dial the 800 number for the card, right? And then on the card, it would be loaded with a certain amount of money. Then you could make your international calls. That was my bypass after being caught. That is how much of an addiction it was for me. So no, you're not going to know. And even if you do know, they might come apart just like he's at now. I don't care if you know. I'm going to leave. I'm going to that person that can. Here's a problem. Here's what's going to happen. This person he's leaving his wife for right now will outlive their usefulness. They will. They'll outlive their usefulness. They won't have the same efficacy on him because he doesn't have the hiding to give him that euphoric rush. People know. Where he was getting his draw for this person to go back was in the secrecy of it. And with the secrecy gone, it's only going to take a few months, if that, maybe even days, for it to wear off. It's not going to have the same power. It's not. It's not going to keep him. If it is what I'm suspecting it is, it'll maybe last maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month at most, before things start going really bad with it. It's going to sour. It's not going to have the same punch that it did before, the draw, the allure, because it's not hidden. I just wish that in the body, we were frank enough to have men talk to men about the situations that we endure, and not from the idea that say, it's natural. No, it shouldn't be natural, but you should be aware of it and should be knowing that this is something that will definitely target you. I can't make the choice for another man. A man can't make the choice for me. I either am or I'm not going on a pathway to find God fully, or I'm not. That's the only options I got. Kris right now is in the perfect location for absolute phenomenal growth. But he's also in the most perfect position to be totally 100% handed over to the enemy forever. And that's a scary place for some, but for someone who's been there, it is one of the best possible options he could ever have to get out of this. Even, hear me out, even if the platform has to go away, he wouldn't care. Even if he loses his marriage, it wouldn't matter to him. That sounds bad? Does that sound bad? Hear me out. If after all of this, he gets divorced, his wife says you can't see your child, the church says you can't come back, YouTube kills his channel, you know what won't matter to Kris if he does make a heart change for God? Any of that. In fact, you know what he will say? That is justice. Because I do deserve death. That would be justice. I deserve death, but that would be justice. When the heart change happens, the punishments that anybody could levy against you would be completely warranted in your mind. You would have no problem with the punishments levied against you. None. You'd be like, well, that's what I get. But it ain't death. It ain't death. And you know what will actually happen? With that true change, those around him will see it. And they'll see it without accountability. They'll see it without any requirements from the church. And just like with Job, things will get restored. Whether that be in full or part, it will be restored, because what the relationship that needs to take place, that needs to be restored, is a spiritual one. But he has to turn. The same way that Morrison would have to turn, the same way that Lawson would have to turn, the same way that Evans would have to turn, all of them. All of us have a walk to make, and every last one of us have to come to that point where we understand that self has to die, and in order for self to die, you have to recognize what you are. If he hasn't recognized what he is, he will. He will. He will. And if he recognizes it and doesn't change, then it's on him. If he recognizes and changes, it's on him. Right now, he's in control of all of it. He is. because he has to make that change, nobody else. I'm not here to decide whether or not what he did was wrong. We know it's wrong. That's that's not even a statement of, oh, I wonder. It's not a wonder. It's not a wonder. It is. Just stop with that side of it. I don't need to read 15 different verses about how wrong or what kind of wrong. It's wrong. Just stop. Okay? I'm not justifying Kris's behavior in any way, shape, and form or fashion. I'm not. But I see it differently. I see it as a good thing that the exposure happened. I see it as a good thing that he got caught. I see it as a good thing if the outcome is that a change really happens and not this accountability thing from the church. The church telling him, yeah, you need to change, you need to stop, you need to do, we need to, we'll meet with you once a week, twice a week. In that, if I know I'm meeting with you on Tuesday, that's like somebody saying, you know, I have a drug test coming up, okay? And they tell you, okay, so the drug test will be on this day. I know I do weed. But for my job to stay the way it is, I have a drug test, and you telling me when I have a drug test? Bet. I will get completely off of it for the time frame that I need to be to get my drug test clear. And once my drug test is clear, I go right back to my weed. You think that's going to stop? You told me. You told me. But if I realize that weed is keeping me from getting a raise because I'm not productive, and from that, I can't possibly get a career in the job I want. And without that career, I can't have the future I want. And I can't take up the things I want. And I can't take care of the people I want. Then you know what will happen? Weed will go away. Weed will go away. Could be a lot of things, yeah. Could be that. And woman scorn is a crazy thing. Some women slash your tires. Some women beat the mess out of you. Some women take your kids. Some women take your house. Some women get you fired. Some women air your dirty laundry. Some women don't do any of that. I don't know what her state is. I don't know what her side of the story is. They haven't put that out. I know Kris's side of the story from what they put out. And if what they're saying is true, that he did say, I did it and I don't care, I'm moving on. I know for a fact that life for Kris is about to get real interesting. When I say, oh my goodness, bro, so interesting. I don't think he's ready for what's about to happen, but he's going to get ready. He's going to be ready at some point. I wasn't ready. I was not ready for what God did. I wasn't. For what God allowed, I was not ready. But God. But God. In any case, All Things Theology is on pause. He's no longer making content. Not quite sure what that's going to be. Oh, there was one thing I forgot to show you guys. Remember, I told you all that Marcus is a liar, right? I have to show people this one. I have to show you this one because I didn't even realize this was the thumbnail. As my last statement about it. We're going to back it up to what he said, right? I want you to hear carefully what he said, not me.
About KDub and the website link and all of that. And I'm going to say this right from the jump. It didn't make me feel good. It didn't make me happy to see it because we know that the enemy loves to destroy families. And believe it or not, I know the internet will have you believe in one thing, but I am not a mean person.
Okay. You heard him, right? I want acknowledgement from the audience that you heard what he said. Yeah, I saw the smirk. I saw the smirk. I want everybody to acknowledge what he said. He's not mean and he's not gloating in it, right? Okay? That's what he said.
And it's going to be really hard for some of you to believe this. I'm not a judgmental person.
Okay. He's not judgmental either.
I believe that wrong is wrong. I believe that if you're a leader and you do wrong, to whom much is given, much is required, you have to be called out.
Okay. That's what he said, right? We are 100% sure that he said that. Okay, not me. I want y'all to see the thumbnail for that live. This is the thumbnail for Marcus Rogers's live. Now you tell me, is that lying and hypocrisy? When I told you that Marcus Rogers is not just a fraud, but the genuine article fraud, like the most worthless frauds, this is what I mean. When I tell you that Marcus Rogers is one of the most disgusting, ridiculous, retarded people on God's green earth, this is what I mean. When I tell you that he's the backstabbing, forked-tongued snake in the grass, this is what I mean. All that bluster and talk about, no, I'm not talking to nobody when they're down. That's not me. I'm not mean. This is what I mean. This is why I say he has no business being a pastor. This is pastoralship right here. But you're not mean, right, Marcus? You're not mean at all. No, of course not. No, you're not judgmental either. No. So let me get this right. That's not KDub on the floor in a ring with you standing over him super ripped with gloves on, just knocking him out with the word fake on it. That's not you, though. That's not judgmental. No? Okay. Just making sure. I'm just making sure. I don't want to put words in your mouth. And I definitely don't want to read too much into your little thumbnail there. Last thing I want to do is to read into your thumbnail. It's not like it's contradicting what you just said or anything at all. Of course not. You'd never do that. Not you. You're too holy. You got that fire water. In any case, people, another guy has gone down into the weeds about the issues with the flesh. And we'll see what comes of it. We'll see whether he turns or he doesn't. But like I always tell you here, the relational aspect of this walk is necessary. It's required. It's really all that matters. The looking for the gifts and the looking for this and the looking for that is inconsequential to the relationship. And if God is who he says he is, then he will make sure to make things happen to foster that relationship. He'll make it happen. He'll make the relationship grow. And if that means having to do certain things to you, he'll do it. For your own good, he'll do it. So we'll see what happens with KDub. I don't have a dog in this fight because it's not like I know the guy. I'm not friends with him. I thought his stuff was good, hilarious at times. I disagreed with him on a few things, quite a few things. So I don't need to prop the dude up or nothing like that. That's not what this is about. But I do think there is something else going on in his world that he wasn't telling anybody about. That finally came to the surface. It bubbled up fast enough that he just is no longer trying to hide it. If he is not repentant, then I can understand why he's not repentant. He's not repentant because he doesn't want to repent. He doesn't want to repent. That's where he is just now. That's just where he is. I know, though, that the effects of what he's decided to do will eventually start acting on him. It will. It will take its toll. It will take its toll. It's just a matter of time. How long? Each person has a certain level that they can handle. I don't know what his is. But I do know this. He will not be able to step into the pulpit as a pastor now. Well, maybe he might, but he won't be beyond reproach. So he's already lost at least half of the qualifications. I think for me, this is one of those things that is, from what I'm reading, and it'll be an okay thing. Again, it's not a bad thing to not be a pastor. Not everybody of us is supposed to be. Some are just teachers. I know what my role is, and my role is not a pastor. My role is not the leader of anything. That's not me. I'm not qualified for that. I'm simply not. I'm not qualified to do that. But what I am qualified to do is this: tell people where I was, tell people what he did, tell people where I am at. That's all I do. Not a leader of any kind in terms of buildings, churches, and all this. I say that all the time, and I think you all heard me before. I've said that before. In any case, we'll be back today at 4 o'clock Eastern for the Zoom meeting. If you guys want to join it, we'll more than have a really good talk today. 4 o'clock Eastern today for the Zoom meeting. The link is under posts right now. If you want to go check it out, I'll bring it up so you can see what I mean. This is my YouTube channel, okay? So if you go here to my YouTube channel and you go to posts, it's right here, okay? If you guys want to join the meeting today, we start at 4 o'clock and we're just going to meet, fellowship together, just hang out. It's a great, great time. If you have something that God did for you this week, come and share it with us. That's all we're going to be doing. Every Sunday is just coming and being. Okay? Come share. Come share. Come share. Come be the body with us and just hang out. 4 p.m., the Zoom link, we can hold up to 100 people in the room. So come hang out. And the link is up, like I said, under posts. If you want to go find it right here on my platform, there it is right there. And it's the first one. I posted it 2 hours ago. Go check it out. For those of you who are trying to get into that and have no way, inbox me if you have to on my messenger, and I'll drop you a direct link to it. And we can go from there. Okay. I did it for other people as well. So if you need it to make it easier for you, I can do that for you. No problem. Okay. We can do that. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys today, 4 o'clock, and tomorrow morning. And hopefully Corey remembers that he's supposed to join me tomorrow. He hasn't replied to my call or my email or my text. So I assume he put it on his calendar, but if he don't show up, he don't show up. It's not like I'm going to be butthurt or anything like that. I'm a small thing, and he's got plenty of things that he's doing. He's got multiple sticks in the fire, so I'm not going to be mad or nothing like that. I don't want anybody thinking I'm going to be butthurt by that. Yeah. Brenda, like I said, if you go to my platform on YouTube, Straight Talk, under posts right here, it'll be the first link, and it'll show you everything. And just click on this right here. Join the Zoom meeting. Click, bam, and it'll take you right to it. Okay. If you still have issues, inbox on either my Facebook or send me an email on my Straight Talk down below scrolling. All right, cool. Love you guys. Mean it. We'll catch you guys later today and tomorrow. Wisdom calls to you from the streets. So please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself.